Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and today we're back with some more Tomboys Need Love 2. It seems that the algorithm specifically liked this series here, so one of my videos got pushed out. It's got a I forget how many views it has, whatever. But anyways, yeah, that's awesome to see that. But anyways, before we get into this video, I want to let you guys know it'd be awesome if you could hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, so you'll be notified when a new one of my videos comes out. I'm trying to grow the channel, we're trying to get to not only 150 subscribers, but we're trying to reach 200 eventually. But yeah, that'd be awesome if you could help me out by doing that. Yeah, so last time we left off, we officially became a thing with Chris. So we're officially dating now, and we've kind of pushed away what is her name? The evil bitch, the blonde-haired girl. I forget whether we ended up going down the path of pushing her away and getting her sad, or pushing her away and getting her fucking pissed off. But I guess we'll find out eventually. So without further ado, let's jump right on back into it. Where did we leave off? Here we go. As dinner passed us by and night inevitably fell, I retreated to my room to indulge in some peace and quiet. Being subjected to my mother's probing and my girlfriend's unbridled enthusiasm, I felt more fatigued than I thought I would as I rested my head on my pillow. Today had been an eventful day. A large portion of our classmates disappeared. Sophie confessed that she liked me, and I unintentionally asked Chris out on a date. But surprisingly, now that I had time to reflect on everything that had happened, I no longer felt overwhelmed or uneasy. Sorry if I sound nasally. I've noticed that these past couple videos I've sounded really nasally, so I apologize about that. Instead, before I knew it, a wide smile had spread across my face. I had a girlfriend. And it wasn't just anyone either. My best friend, Chris, was now my girlfriend. My concerns about her not returning my feelings were completely wrong. She felt for me more strongly than I could have imagined, and in hindsight, it was an invigorating feeling to see her so excited about going out with me. Even if I felt unsure at first, I was now certain that I'd made the right choice. It's unfortunate that Sophie was hurt in the process, but even knowing that, I just can't stop smiling. Why did it take me so long to realize how much Chris meant to me, and how happy a simple title like boyfriend could make me? Some people would call me stupid for getting so happy about something like this, but honestly, my only regret is being so slow on the uptake. Now that we've reached this stage, I won't make that mistake again. I'll be sure to... Knock knock. Interrupted mid-thought, I glanced towards the door, somewhat surprised by the unexpected sound. Yes? Kai, it's me. Can I come in? Oh, Chris. Sure, come in. We better get freaky. It's freaky o'clock, baby. I responded nervously as I looked at the clock. It was already nearing midnight. I should have been asleep hours ago, and I certainly wasn't expecting a visitor this late. What's more, going by the uncharacteristic reservation in Chris's voice, I sat up straight as the door slowly creaked open. Good evening, Kai. Or perhaps I should say good morning, given how late it is. It isn't midnight just yet, but you're not far off. What's up? Couldn't sleep? Chris shook her head. I tried, but I'm just too excited. Isn't that silly? My heart's been pounding all afternoon, and yet it still hasn't calmed down. That sounds more like a medical condition to me. You should get that checked out. Hey, I'm being serious here. But that's okay. I don't mind if you play it off as a joke. After all, the fact that you're still awake means that you couldn't sleep either, right? You've got me there. This really makes no sense. I want it to be Saturday so badly, and going to sleep would make that happen more quickly, yet that seems to be the one thing I can't do. Anyway, with that being the case, I was thinking, if I was having trouble getting to sleep, and maybe you were too, then... Oh shit, fuck, I didn't mean to do that. Maybe we should try it together. Chris, are you saying... I don't mean anything else by it, okay? When I say sleep, I really do mean exactly that. Fuck, I keep clicking the wrong button. So, if you're okay with it, I thought maybe we could give it a try? I stared at Chris in amazement as her proposal dyed both our faces red. She may have praised me for asking her out in the middle of class, but compared to what she just proposed now, that was nothing. I couldn't even begin to imagine how much courage it took to ask me something like that. If I were in her position, I definitely would have wimped out.
It's okay if you don't want to. Really, I understand. I won't be offended or anything. So, if you'd rather not, just say the word and...
Alright. Holy guacamole. I turned off the light and sat back down on my bed, pulling aside the covers as I wormed my way into bed. I held the blanket up with my hand, signaling for Chris to snuggle in with me. I don't need to say it, right? With my back towards Chris and my face bright red, I nervously squeezed out those words.
Kai.
Bro, okay, first off, can I just point this out? Why are we naked, bro? What happened to pajamas, man? Do people just not like pajamas anymore? Now, granted, what happened to PJs, bro? Spider-Man PJs, superhero PJs, man, those are the shit. Several decibel lower than a moment ago, Chris softly spoke my name as we walked over to my bed. A second before she reached my bed, however, she suddenly stopped, and the sound of fabric rustling filled my ears. Once that sound stopped, I felt the mattress shift below me. The blanket slipped out of my hand as Chris took her place by my side. She draped the blanket over herself, then pressed her body firmly against mine, finding space for two on a mattress made for one.
Kai, your back is so warm.
Aw, thanks, Chris. Chris rubbed her face against my neck as she loosely wrapped her arms around my torso. Her hot breath made the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, and I could feel her heartbeat even faster as I realized how close Chris's face was to mine. Chris, I thought you said we were just gonna sleep.
We are.
Chris tightened her arms around me.
But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna enjoy myself first.
Chris continued to worm her way around behind my back as she made herself comfortable. Although I couldn't see what she was doing, I could feel her legs weaving between my own, and her cheek harshly rubbing against my neck as she was nuzzling.
You know, Kai, when I hugged your back this morning, I honestly regretted not being able to move around freely like this. I wanted so badly to indulge in the warmth of your body, to hug you tightly, to feel your skin against mine. And if your mother hadn't showed up when she did, I don't know what I would have done. But if it's now, when everyone is fast asleep, then maybe...
Despite her insistence that we were just gonna sleep, Chris appeared to have no intention of doing so. She released her arms from me and pulled up my shirt to my armpits, then pulled it over my head and tossed it aside.
Hey, Chris, no. Can you feel it?
Chris wrapped her arms around me once more, and with my shirt now removed, I finally realized something important. Chris was naked.
Well, Kai, can you feel it or not? The beating of my heart, that is.
Although I couldn't see her face, I imagined that Chris was smirking behind my back as she teased me. With her naked body pressed up against my bare back, the beating of Chris's heart was naturally not the first thing that came to mind. Yeah, you don't say. Instead, my own heart pounded loudly as I felt her stiff nipples prodding my back. Chris's soft breasts made themselves known as they conformed to the contours of my back, inciting lust deep within me as their texture was burned into my brain.
Ah, your heart just started beating faster. Were you thinking of something naughty?
Chris giggled and made a conscious effort to trace circles on my back with her nipples. Okay, that's a little bit too much detail, I'm not gonna lie there. That's a little bit much. Whether Chris was aroused sexually, curious about how it would feel, or simply having fun teasing me, she was quickly heading down a dangerous path.
I'm just kidding. It's only natural that you would think of something like that. And it's not like I could hold it against you. That'd be far too hypocritical of me.
Chris stopped shuffling around and relaxed her arms. She pulled her chest back slightly and rested her head against the pillow, leaving her lips a mere inch away from my neck.
Sorry, I know it's not fair of me to do something like that to you. Then say that nothing's gonna happen. Be that as it may, we really are just gonna sleep tonight. Please, just think of it as me expelling a small part of what I've kept bottled up inside me for so long. It's your fault that so much of it is built up after all.
Yawning loudly, the remaining energy was expelled from Chris's body. She took a few deep breaths and closed her eyes, slowing down her heart rate and at last putting her body to rest. Finally, Chris pressed her lips against the side of my neck, leaking out one final moan of satisfaction.
Sweet dreams, Kai.
Softly murmuring those few words, Chris stopped moving. Her breath gradually slowed down and became softer, so faint that I could barely hear it. Within 1 minute, Chris was fast asleep, still cradling me in her arms.
Sheesh! Alright, we're starting this episode off strong, brother.
Despite the fact that we both fell asleep around midnight, Chris and I both woke up earlier than usual. By the time I opened my eyes, Chris was already fully clothed and the warmth from my back had dissipated. Although that realization disappointed me, more than anything I felt a sense of disbelief. The events of yesterday, through most of which I simply went with the flow, truly had transpired. I turned down Sophie. I invited Chris to go out on Saturday. She took it as more than a simple invitation between friends, and the next thing I knew, she was sleeping in my bed completely naked. Did yesterday really happen? I went through it all without so much of a fuss at a time, but looking back, yesterday was actually pretty amazing. I mean, if I told my past self that I turned down Sophie to go on a date with another girl, I'd slap myself silly. No, forget her. Sleeping in the same bed as Chris? Going on a date? Having her strip in my room twice in one day? That's where things got crazy. Amazed by the sudden change in my life, I watched Chris mindlessly as I zoned out, thinking about all the peculiarities of the past 24 hours. Once I returned to reality, however, I realized that I was witnessing one more event worthy of note. While I was asleep, Chris had started to rummage through my belongings. What are you doing?
Kai, what are you doing here?
Is that a serious question? Come on, you've been up longer than I have. Wake up and explain.
Oh, right. It's really nothing suspicious, okay? I definitely wasn't taking advantage of you being asleep to do anything sketchy.
I didn't think you were until you said that. Are you looking for something? If you're trying to rob me, you should know that my game consoles are the only valuables I have.
You really think I'd rob you? Forget it. If I leave it to your imagination, you're only going to reach worse and worse conclusions. The truth is, I was looking for your sports trophies.
My trophies? Good luck finding those. I haven't wanted one of those in years.
Oh, believe me, I know. Now that I'm a high school student, I need to spend my time studying, not playing sports. Why should I kick a soccer ball around when I could be going on dates with hot girls? Forget baseball, you're looking at the king of geometry.
Please stop.
Aw, but there's so many more where those come from. You were such a dweeb, Kai.
Yeah, well, you didn't exactly live up to your childhood aspirations either, you know. In fact, I clearly remember several declarations that you made upon entering high school.
Uh-oh. Remember this face, Kai? By the time I finish high school, it's going to be plastered all over the front page of every sports magazine in the world. No, really, it's genetic. My mom told me that she was flat as a board too, all the way until your senior year of high school, and then bam, 3 cup sizes in 6 months. So what if I was confessed to by a girl? I'd rather die than wear a skirt. I get your point. Let's not play this game anymore, okay?
Aw, but there's so many more where those come from.
I was mistaken. None of those things happened. I must have remembered wrong. Though, come to think of it, I do remember a certain young boy trying out pickup lines on his teacher.
No, you don't.
Are you sure about that? I could have sworn that
Trophies, right? You were saying something about trophies.
Indeed, I was.
Phew. I breathed a sigh of relief as Chris consented to abandoning our regretful line of conversation. While there were many fun moments that we shared in the past, being childhood friends meant that Chris and I also knew many of our embarrassing and troublesome periods in each other's lives. Needless to say, I had more than my fair share of cringeworthy experiences best left forgotten.
So, any idea where your old trophies and stuff are? I can see that you still have some sports gear lying around, but I couldn't find what I was after.
Not really. Mom might know, but I stopped caring about that junk ages ago. Why do you want to see my old trophies anyway?
Just a whim. I was thinking about how you suddenly stopped playing, and I was curious to see if you still kept your trophies around.
Nah, even if they're still in this house, they aren't in my bedroom. I threw out most of that stuff ages ago. My mom might have kept the things like trophies, but for the most part...
You threw your sports gear out? Why'd you do that? I would have happily accepted it.
You wanted my old shin guards and soccer boots?
Yeah.
But they wouldn't even fit you.
So? I would have grown into them by now.
You're right. I guess you would have. But would you really keep all that stuff around for years waiting to grow into it?
Well, I can't say that I would have kept all of it.
And what about my mouth guard? Or my cup? Would have you kept those?
Don't be gross, of course I wouldn't have. I'm just saying that there was bound to be something I could have used. Chucking most of it out was a huge waste.
Yeah, you're right about that. Sports gear goes for a decent amount online as long as it's in good condition.
That's not really where I was going with this. Anyway, if they aren't in here, then I guess there's no point in continuing my search. I'm a little disappointed that you discard your old trophies, but I suppose it's to be expected.
Did you really think I'd still have them lying around?
I knew it was a long shot, but I figured there was at least a chance. After all, you obviously peaked in middle school. Why wouldn't you want to relive your glory days?
Hey, I haven't peaked just yet. I'm only 18.
You say that, but where's the proof? I can't even remember the last time I saw you with a baseball mitt on or a cricket bat in your hand.
That doesn't mean I couldn't play them again. I just haven't been active for a while, that's all.
Is that right?
Chris smirked happily as I dug myself into a deeper and deeper hole. I'd played right into her trap.
In that case, prove it. During lunch today, we'll play half-court basketball, just me and you. 1-on-1. First to 20 points. Oh, and the loser has to pay for our date tomorrow.
Hey, that's not fair. I've been into sports for years now, but you never stop playing. There's no way I'll win.
Oh, what's the matter? Are you afraid of getting your butt kicked by a girl?
No, I'm afraid of getting my butt kicked by a girl in front of dozens of spectators.
Oh, come on. Who cares what they think? If anyone makes fun of you, I'll just have to kick their ass, too.
Somehow I get the feeling that I should be the one stepping up to defend you, not the other way around. But you know what? I think I might be up for this after all.
Really?
Sure, why not? It's been a while since we played any kind of sport together, and I figured I'd get roped into paying for our date anyway, so...
You're on!
Having started our Friday morning with such lively banter, I knew that the rest of the day was going to be fun. Chris was filled with her usual enthusiasm and lack of reservation. She was her normal self, despite the fact that our relationship had supposedly changed. Even after events like us sharing a bed last night, we could still play together and hang out as friends without it being awkward. Our friendship remained completely intact, and, honestly, that knowledge filled me with far more joy than the prospect of becoming a couple.
See, that, in my opinion, that's a very healthy relationship. The fact that you can, like, simultaneously be intimate while not having that in really any way affect your regular, like, friendship with each other, I think that's a really good sign. I was worried that becoming a couple would make things awkward between Chris and I, but if we can still joke around like usual, then it seems my fears were unnecessary. Even if I don't know what I really want out of my relationship with Chris, what is clear to me now is that I don't want to lose what we already have. As long as our friendship isn't impacted, and we're still able to act natural around one another without hesitation, this really might be the best path forward. After a somewhat awkward breakfast, during which the comments and giggles from my mother dyed my face crimson, Chris and I walked to school together side by side. Although we didn't go as far as holding hands, we were undoubtedly closer than usual in terms of proximity. More than a few times we'd brush up against one another, only to laugh it off a moment later. Once we reached school, Chris and I further toned things down, mindful of the gazes of others. We entered our classroom and made our way to our desks, at which point Chris breathed a heavy sigh. Man, why can't it be Saturday already? I'm a patient person, but even I have my limits.
Chris, school hasn't even started yet. Besides, isn't there something else you should be looking forward to first?
Something else.
Don't play dumb. If you want out, just say so. But if you do forfeit, you'll be paying for our date tomorrow.
Right, I almost forgot about that. Come on, hurry up and be lunchtime already.
You really aren't as patient as you claim.
The hell I'm not. I'm only being patient now because it took so freaking long for us to get to this point. If you'd asked me out sooner, we wouldn't be in this situation.
Oi, oi, oi. Fuck. I'm sorry. You can't really blame me for that. You could have asked me out yourself, you know. You didn't need to wait for me to ask.
I'm not so sure about that.
Chris looked past me as she spoke. I followed Chris's gaze while pondering her words, and the moment I spotted the target of her glare, I understood what she meant.
Good morning, Kai.
Good morning, Sophie.
Are you ready for the weekend? It's too soon to celebrate just yet, But Fridays always feel a little special, don't they?
You can say that again. I live for the weekend.
You don't say. Speaking of this weekend, if you have some free time, I was thinking that we... Don't even try it. You know perfectly well that Kai has plans with me this weekend.
Refusing to be ignored by Sophie yet again, Chris spoke up.
Oh, Christine? You're here? I didn't notice you there. Yeah, right. Anyway, stop trying to butt in. Kai and I have plans and they don't involve you. How mean. I never said anything about joining the two of you. You may have forgotten this, Chris, but there are actually 2 days in the weekend. So even if you have plans with Kai on Saturday, surely you're not going to force yourself on him 2 days in a row, are you? Are you trying to pick a fight with me? Not at all. What kind of violent brute would go around picking fights just because they didn't like what someone said? Such a person could hardly be considered a proper woman, don't you agree? You slimy little...
Seeing Chris's clenched fist shaking by her sides, I decided to step in.
Now, let's not say anything we might regret.
I think we're past that point, Kai. We are way past that point. Sophie, you're saying something about this Saturday? Or sorry, Sunday?
Yes, that's right. I recalled some vague plans you mentioned having on Saturday with some random person, but then I realized that you might be free on Sunday instead. So, I was thinking that if you're not busy, perhaps you would accompany me for a while. As a friend, of course. I know that you and Chris are dating, and I wouldn't want to make things awkward between you, but even normal friends hang out together, don't they?
Well, you're right about that. I don't have any plans for Sunday, and if it's just his friends, then...
Kai, may I speak with you in private for a moment?
Come on, bro! Oh my god! Before I could give my answer, Chris interrupted me. But I'm in the middle of...
Ow, 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 ow.
Dragging me by the ear, Chris led me out of the classroom.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? That should be my line. We've only been a couple for a day and you're already making plans with other girls?
Only to hang out together. Two friends can spend time together without it being anything devious.
Not when one of those two is her. Kai, please, just think about this from my perspective for a moment. Tomorrow's supposed to be our first date. How do you think it feels to hear that you're already making plans with a girl you've been lusting after for months? Even if you don't have any ulterior motives, it still makes me a bit jealous.
Jealous?
Yeah, you heard me. I'm jealous, okay? I've been listening to you talk about that girl you've had crushes on for years. And even now, when we're finally going out, one of them's still in your mind. Why can't you think of about me as much as you think about them? Is it too much for...
Yeah.
Is it too much to ask for you to treat me that way? I'm your girlfriend now, right? So, you should only be paying attention to me. Forget about Sophie. Forget about all those other girls. You're the only boy I ever think about, Kai. Is it wrong for me to want to be the only girl you ever think about?
I felt a sharp pain pierce my chest as Chris pleaded with me. Even if I didn't agree with her on every point, it was clear that the thought of me spending time with Sophie, even as friends, was hurting Chris. Seeing Chris once again enduring unnecessary pain for my sake, I could only give in to her heartfelt plea.
Well, no shit, man. I mean, it pisses me off. Like, this guy is simultaneously the most dense motherfucker I've ever met, and he's also got the most game I've ever fucking seen in my life. I mean, like, in what world wouldn't your girlfriend be uncomfortable with you going and spending private time with a girl that not only have you been lusting after for months now, but that has admitted to also having romantic feelings for you as well? I mean, like, that's pretty much cheating. And he also knows that these two have, like, a very turbulent relationship and don't fucking like each other. So it's like... Listen, man, you gotta pick sides sometimes. Oh, Jesus. You gotta pick sides sometimes, brother. You can't do this.
Okay. I'm sorry, Chris. You're right. You're absolutely right. Even if I'm new to this whole relationship thing, that's no excuse for being tactless. And the last thing I want to do is make you feel uneasy. If you don't want me to spend any more time with Sophie, just say the word. I'll turn her down without hesitation.
See what I mean? Like, he's... I'll say this. He's dense, but he is quick on the uptake, which I can appreciate at the very least. Kai, do you really mean that?
Of course. I like Sophie, and I want to be friends with her. But if I have to choose between the two of you, then it's no contest. If having her around makes you feel uneasy, consider her gone.
Kai,
Chris smiled softly as I responded to her worries. In truth, I didn't want to turn Sophie away. After what happened to her and what she confided in me, I felt obligated to help her and to befriend her in her time of need. On the other hand, Sophie had lied to me. She made me suspect Chris of something terrible, and there was a small part of me that couldn't forgive her for that. And of course, above all else, if befriending Sophie would negatively impact my relationship with Chris, then no matter what I felt for Sophie, I would turn her away.
I appreciate you saying that. I know how long you've waited for an opportunity like this, and it means a lot to me that you turned her down 2 days in a row for my sake. So for that reason, I retract my earlier statement.
You... what?
Kai, I'm sorry for asking for something so unreasonable. You don't have to be that mindful of me. You can be friends with whoever you want.
Are you sure? If you don't want me to spend time with Sophie, I'm fine with turning her down.
I'd be lying if I said that wouldn't make me happy. But I don't want you to think that you can't have friends unless I approve of them. I just got a bit anxious when I heard Sophie trying to make plans with you. My insecurities got the best of me and I said something I shouldn't have. So, I'm happy that you'd go that far for my sake, but you should be friends with whoever you want. I don't want to become the kind of jealous, controlling woman who can't trust their boyfriend.
With surprisingly considerate, polite words, Chris gave my friendship with Sophie her blessing. Baffled by her maturity, I stared at Chris, vacantly for a moment, almost unable to believe that the one who said such things was really Chris. It would seem that, despite my being by her side for so many years, there were still things I didn't know about Chris.
But don't you dare do anything that you wouldn't do with a male friend, okay? If you do so much as hold hands, I'm gonna beat you both into the ground.
There's the usual Chris. After a few more quiet words between the two of us, Chris and I returned to the classroom. We walked over to our desks, at which point Sophie approached us once more. Sorry about the wait. We just needed a brief intermission.
Oh no, not at all. So, did you come to a conclusion? Well, I don't need an immediate answer. I would prefer to know sooner rather than later.
It's fine. I won't drag this out. Sorry, Sophie, but I'll have to refuse.
Oh, I see.
Hearing my response, Sophie glanced towards Chris.
Hey, don't look at me like that. This is Kai's decision, not mine. If you say so.
With clear disappointment and a faint hint of hostility, Sophie turned away and returned to her desk. As she was about to take her seat, Sophie turned her head and glared at Chris once more, then sat down.
Jeez, what's with that girl? It's bad enough that she'd invite someone else's boyfriend out. Isn't it too much to get angry when she's turned down? And why is she getting angry at me? She's clearly the one in the wrong here.
I don't know. Maybe Sophie just doesn't trust other girls? I wouldn't blame her given what happened.
What happened? What do you mean, Kai? Do you know something?
Crap. No, I wouldn't say I know something. It's just... Look, she cut her hair really short, right? And the same day, almost all of the girls in the class went missing. Even now, most of them are suspended, and we don't know why. So I was thinking maybe she was a victim of bullying or something.
Huh. Is that right?
Chris stared at me skeptically.
That's certainly a possibility. No, more than that. It's actually a pretty good theory. But if it's just a theory, then why do you make it sound like you knew for a fact what had happened?
I faltered in the face of Chris's intense scrutiny. Although she was usually fairly carefree and easygoing, there were moments when I felt like she could see right through me.
Well, Kai, how can you be so certain? Did you see or hear something to make you think that way?
I nervously glanced around the classroom. After passing straight over Sophie, my eyes landed on the two of the remaining girls, both of whom had spoken to Sophie upon her return and appeared to know what had gone on. Without a moment's hesitation, I looked back and forth between those girls and Chris, then nodded my head in that direction.
You heard from them?
I nodded in confirmation. I overheard them before Sophie showed up yesterday. You remember how they were surprised to see her, right? That reaction wasn't just because of her new haircut.
Huh, you don't say.
Chris stared at the two girls.
Bullying, huh? I don't buy it.
Huh? What do you mean? I'm telling you that's what I heard.
I'm not saying that I don't believe you, Kai. What I find hard to believe is the notion of Sophie getting bullied by other people in our class.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised too. I didn't think that our classmates would do such a thing, but from the look of it...
No, that isn't what I meant. What I'm saying is I don't think it was bullying. If those girls did something to Sophie, chances are it was a retaliation.
Retaliation? For what? What do you think she did?
What else? You've heard the rumors, Kai. You know what they say about her. Actually, thinking about it now, maybe I shouldn't have said I was okay with you befriending her after all.
Although I was saddened that even Chris arbitrarily believed the worst about Sophie, I didn't hold it against her. For so many people to believe such a thing, there's bound to be some driving force behind the rumors. Not necessarily proof, but definitely something to fuel such malicious talk. And truth be told, after hearing it so many times and seeing the way Sophie tried to rile up Chris, not to mention accusing Chris of being involved in such a thing, I was beginning to believe it myself.
Dude, I swear, this guy... I say it, I'm pretty sure I've said this every single fucking episode, but he goes from being the most dense guy ever, just completely clueless, to being the most, like, insightful fucking dude in the world. Like, he catches on so quickly, but it takes so much for him to get to that point, I feel like.
So we've had some doubts about Sophie, not surprising. I don't trust the bitch.
Yeah. Is it time to go home yet?
This day just keeps dragging on.
Look alive, Kai. You'll never beat me if you're like that. Get your game face on and let's go.
The moment class ended, Chris suddenly sprang to life. It was now lunchtime, and with our bet fresh in her mind, Chris was raring to go. Oh my god. Lola, what are you doing here, girl? My dog has managed to shove my door open. I don't have it shut completely, but it has like a little like slider underneath it that makes it fucking impossible to open. She somehow shoves her way through here because of this storm going outside. Hey girl. Let me shut this door. Okay. Alright. You go first. I'll catch up. Just give me another 5 minutes and I'll be right there. I folded my arms on the desk in front of me and rested my forehead on my arms.
Oh, no you don't.
Seconds after I put my head down, I felt my earlobe being torn from my body as I was forcibly dragged to my feet.
Ouch! What'd you do that for? To prevent you from standing me up. I don't care if you're getting cold feet. I heard you booked the court during our last break, so it's too late to forfeit.
Like I would stand you up. And why my ear again? That really hurt.
Because pulling on your ear is a great way to inflict pain without leaving any bruises.
I'm beginning to think that I may have just entered into an abusive relationship.
Oh, quit whining. I know better than anyone that sometimes you need a kick in the balls to get going.
That is not how that saying goes.
Really? Well, whatever. If you don't get moving, I'm still gonna put it to the test.
Oh, for the love of... I get it already, I'm going.
That's the spirit.
In response to Chris's not-so-soft prodding, I stood up and started walking out of the classroom. Alongside Chris, who was still grinning cheerfully, I reluctantly headed toward the gym. Man, you really are forceful, you know that? You're lucky to have a cute face. That kind of violence would drive anyone away.
Are you praising me or insulting me?
A bit of both.
Well, say what you want. I only did that because it was necessary. If you try that kind of stunt tomorrow, I won't hesitate to come over to your house and take you outside by force.
I don't doubt it. But you won't have to worry about that. Even I wouldn't try to pull something like that tomorrow of all days. I'm well aware of the pain and suffering that would await me if I did.
Damn straight. Now come on, let's get moving. I'm gonna whip you up so badly that you'll be paying for every single date we ever go on.
With the court already reserved, Chris and I wasted little time before jumping into action. Chris borrowed a basketball team uniform from one of her friends and quickly got changed. Meanwhile, I put on my PE uniform, then met up with Chris on the court. After some light stretching, the two of us faced off, and the match begun.
Come on, Kai, how could you miss that shot?
Shut up, I almost had it before you got in the way.
What do you expect me to do? I'm your opponent, you know.
No mercy, huh? I should have expected as much. Chris caught the rebounding ball and ran to the halfway line. I gave chase and attempted to cover her advance.
Oh no, Kai's got me. Whatever shall I do? I guess I'd better just give up. There's no way I could possibly... Psych! Wah!
Chris tossed the ball over my head. While I was looking up and trying to block it, she ran around my side, then took possession of the ball once more before it had bounced. After it had bounced.
Hey, you can't do that! Sure I can. I may not work in a real game, but if it's one-on-one, that's a perfectly feasible move.
Still running as she spoke, Chris jumped up and tossed the ball from the three-point line. I caught up to her after the ball had already left her hand, just in time to watch it descend through the ring.
Woohoo! Nothing but net.
Damn it. I jogged over to the ball and took hold of it. Don't get cocky. This isn't over yet.
That's the spirit, Kai. Come on, show me what you can do when you get serious.
I ran forward while dribbling the ball. When Chris intercepted me, I quickly threw the ball between her legs and ran around her side. As I attempted to reclaim possession of the ball, however, I found that I was a second too late.
What? How did you... Nice try, but did you really think that would work on me?
Chris grabbed the ball before I could, and dashed for the halfway line. Once she reached the halfway line, she stopped and waited for me to catch up so the two of us could face off once again.
What are you gonna do, Kai? The score is 19-2 my way. One more point and the game's mine.
Don't talk like you've already won. Mark my words, I will make you pay for our date tomorrow.
Then stop talking and do it.
Chris bounced the ball between my legs, pulling the same maneuver that I had moments ago. But unlike my attempt, Chris's ended in success. She reclaimed the ball in no time and swiftly took her shot, once again scoring on her first attempt.
And that's 20. Looks like tomorrow's on you after all, Kai.
Chris puffed out her chest and grinned cheekily as she proclaimed victory. Ugh, that was just a warm-up. One more game, double or nothing. Hearing my declaration, Chris didn't sign exasperation, nor did she call me a sore loser. Instead, she laughed happily, with clear joy painted all over her face.
With pleasure.
Just kill me now and be done with it.
How can you still be tired? We finished playing well over an hour ago.
It doesn't change lack of stamina. With my only daily exercise being the walk to and from school, I knew all too well how unfit I'd become. And today in particular it showed. After running myself ragged on the court for half an hour, I was sweating profusely and struggling to breathe. I didn't even want to think about how I looked by the end of the break.
Jeez, Kai, you're more out of shape than I thought. Maybe I shouldn't have pushed yourself so hard after not exercising for the last, 3 years.
And let you win? Not a chance.
It's good to be a little bit competitive, but you can do irreparable damage to your body if you overexert yourself. Maybe we should work on your fitness a bit more before doing something like that again?
When you say we, you don't mean...
Yes, I do. From this day onward, Kai, I'll be your new coach.
No, that's really not necessary.
Sure it is. You're clearly on the fast track to a heart attack, and as your girlfriend, it's my responsibility to keep you alive and healthy for as long as possible.
You're already using our relationship as an excuse to control me? We haven't even...
Any complaints?
No, ma'am.
Good. Then it's settled. After school, every Monday through Thursday from now on, I'm gonna run you into the ground. Prepare yourself, Kai.
Clearly abusing her new authority as my girlfriend, Chris sentenced me to 4 days of physical activity per week for the foreseeable future. But while Chris stated that it was for my own health, I doubted that was the case. And for my part, I wasn't as reluctant as I claimed to be either. Because as exhausting as it was to play against Chris today, I had a lot of fun, and I would have to be blind not to notice that the same went double for her. My sentence was a blessing for both of us. It was an excuse for Chris and I to repeat the fun we had today, at our own leisure, and without any spectators. When I thought about it like that, I realized that maybe having my girlfriend be my coach might not be a bad thing after all.
Mom, I'm home.
Mom, Hey, that was my line. No, wait, what are you even doing here, Chris? I thought you were supposed to go home today.
Nope, change of plans. I looked at my parents' flight earlier and it seems that it's been delayed. They won't be back until tomorrow night.
And you waited until now to tell me? Before I could probe any further, my mother entered the room.
Welcome back, you two. Did anything fun happen at school today? Sure did. During lunch today, I totally kicked Kai's butt. Oh my. What happened? Did you catch him leering at another girl? No, nothing like that. If I did, he wouldn't be standing here right now.
Nope. I flinched unconsciously as Chris glared at me.
Actually, it wasn't something bad at all. Kai and I played basketball at school and I totally whooped him. I could see that happening. So even with the full team of people behind him, Kai was still no match for you. A team of people? No, Kai and I were just playing one-on-one during our lunch break. Seriously?
My mother looked at me worriedly.
Kai, honey, are you alright? Do you need to see a doctor?
Oh, haha, very funny.
No, this is no laughing matter. Sudden changes in behavior can be attributed to all kinds of illnesses. For Kai, who usually only runs when he has to go to the toilet to be playing basketball of his own free will.
Mom!
Kai, she's got you pegged.
Oh, jeez. Fine, make fun of me all you want. I'm going for a shower. While Chris and my mother continued to talk, I headed to my room and grabbed a change of clothes. Then I went for a quick shower and got changed, after which I returned to my bedroom and flopped down on my bed. Much better. As I rested on my bed, the fatigue from earlier quickly consumed me. I closed my eyes and slowed my breathing. Before I knew it, hours had passed, and the sky outside had grown dark. Oops, I can't afford to do that just yet. If I fall asleep now, I'll screw up my body clock for tomorrow. I wouldn't want to be yawning all through with my first date. Comfortable as I was, I forced myself to get up and head downstairs. Upon entering the kitchen, I noticed that my mom was nowhere to be seen. Despite that, there was still a faint aroma tickling my nose. I looked around the kitchen trying to locate the source of the scent, but before I could...
Hungry, Kai?
Whoa! Chris, you scared the hell out of me.
Sorry.
With Chris now in front of me, I took another look around the room, careful not to miss any other human presences. But even on the second pass, I couldn't see anyone else there. What are you doing down here, Chris? And where's dinner? Don't tell me...
Yep, you slept right through it.
Oh, come on. Thanks for waking me.
Now, there's no need to get angry. Your mother went to bed early. It seems like she'll be going out all day tomorrow. But before that, she did make enough for 3. Sit down, I'll heat it up for you.
Ah, thank you. I was worried there might not be any left. But you don't need to go that far. I
said sit down.
Yes, ma'am. Intimidated by Chris's forcefulness, I did as she commanded and sat down at the table. The moment I did, a smile immediately returned to Chris's face. She then turned around, opened up the oven, and started reheating dinner in the microwave. All of the dinner preparation was simple enough. I could have easily handled it myself, if Chris had let me. But when dinner was ready and Chris returned to my side, it became clear why she wanted to perform the preparation herself.
Okay, Kai. Say ah.
I'm not a baby, Chris. I can eat by myself.
Oh, right. Ahem. Here you are, dear. Eat up while it's still warm.
Rather than take a step back after placing the plate in front of me, Chris swiftly sat down on my lap. She then grabbed my spoon, scooped up some of the food on my plate, and brought it to my mouth. Chris, stop it. This is embarrassing.
It's just us here, Kai. There's no need to get embarrassed.
Even if we're the only ones here, that doesn't mean it's not embarrassing. Without showing any signs of backing down, Chris continued to hold the spoon next to my mouth. I sighed in resignation, both hungry and a little flustered. I opened my mouth wide, giving Chris the opportunity she sought.
How is it, dear?
It's good.
Really?
Chris smiled happily and scooped up another spoonful. Did you make this?
Nope, this is all your mother's work. Okay, now open wide, dear.
Though perplexed by Chris's willingness to take pride in someone else's cooking, I didn't say anything. I simply opened my mouth and allowed her to feed me, deriving far more pleasure from the act than I'd care to admit. I'm glad you're
enjoying yourself, but you still need to close your mouth when you chew. Look, you're getting food everywhere.
Rather than point out the food that I had supposedly missed, Chris stuck out her tongue and licked my cheek.
Wah!
Chris, what do you think you're doing?
Cleaning up?
With a faint blush on her face, Chris continued to smile innocently as I brought my hand to my cheek.
And open wide. There's still plenty more where that came from.
Oh, come on, give me a break. You aren't planning on doing this for every bite, are you?
Of course I am. And open wide before I force it open.
Despite her violent words, Chris continued to smile cheerfully. Sighing once more, I moved my hand from my cheek and placed it on Chris's lap. I then moved my other hand to her waist and wrapped it around her, loosely cradling her body in my arms.
Kai, what are you doing?
Several pitches higher than a moment ago, Chris asked in a panic. Just making sure you don't fall. Come on, honey, we aren't done yet, are we? I opened my mouth and waited for Chris to feed me. Seeing that, and hearing how I addressed her, Chris's eyes widened for a moment, then straightened up excitedly and brought the spoon to my mouth once more.
Of course not. There's plenty more where that came from.
I gratefully accepted another mouthful and watched Chris's elated expression as I began to chew. It was embarrassing and a bit of work, but I couldn't say that I was displeased. After all, the food was tasty, and watching Chris express her joy always filled me with energy, so I really had nothing to complain about. If I had any regret, it's that we couldn't do this more often.
Now you're getting it. But there's no need to rush, dear. After this is dessert, so there's still plenty more where that came from.
I stared at Chris in disbelief. Are you kidding me?
Nope. After this is chocolate cake and ice cream.
And you're gonna feed me that too?
Of course I will.
I hanged my head in defeat. Careful what you wish for, huh?
Don't worry, Kai, it's okay. You'll run it off when we start training on Monday.
The calories aren't the problem here.
Gotcha.
The moment I screamed in protest, Chris forced the spoon into my mouth. It would seem that my escape was not an option. The only way to get out of this situation was to eat whatever Chris fed me, then discreetly vomit it at the toilet later. Alright, I can do this. Do your worst, Chris, I can take it. Seeing no better alternative, I ate every last bite. With my plate clear, Chris soon brought out dessert, then sat down on my lap once more and brought the spoon to my mouth. I swallowed the last of my hesitation and opened my mouth, prepared to face death head on for the sake of my girlfriend's happiness. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and stop it right there. A nice little place to stop before we go on our ever-anticipated date. Alright. So. Oh my god. Whew. Alright, a lot has happened, as is usual with these videos. So, obviously, we had a little bit of touchy, feely time with Chris. But obviously one of the probably, maybe not exactly important, I wouldn't exactly say anything important happened here, but I kind of feel like, we're in our honeymoon kind of stage. We're being very cutesy, flirty with each other. So I am kind of curious if that's going to stay that way, or if there is going to be further conflict down the line. And I feel like at the very least, now I'm not sure how this game's like pathways go. I'm not sure if this is going to be a thing where, because of our earlier decisions, we're kind of set in stone on like the Chris path, or if maybe there's like a conflict that's going to arise later on, which, I could see happening. But yeah, it's also kind of interesting with the whole Sophie thing, because like I said, she's probably going to be the source of that conflict. But I don't know if I'll ever do it, but I may possibly at some point go back and do Sophie's route as well, because I imagine she probably has a route to follow as well. So, but that's going to be it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when one of those videos comes out. Anyways, this is it from me, and I'll see you in the next one.